Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today's project is going to be a long sleeve diamond. I lost the footage of me centering the shirt, so I'm sorry for that, but I did make you guys a video and I uploaded it yesterday, so if you don't know how I got to this point in the shirt, after you watch this one, go check out that video. So what I'm working on right now is deciding where I want the center of the pattern to be. I like to come down a couple inches from the underarm. And then I just pick it straight up off the table and flop it back down, and then smooth out all the wrinkles as I go. Really super easy. And so I have the top of the shirt up and the bottom half of the shirt is folded up underneath that portion. Then I'm going to take my yardstick and mark out my pattern using a washable marker. And I like to use the Crazy Art brand that I get from Walmart. So I'm making a diamond on this pattern, so pay attention. I'm at the very center of the shirt is where I'm creating my lines. If I was to take it from the center up over the shoulder, it would create an X. So as I'm drawing the lines on, I think you'll be able to see the diamond. I do apologize for the fact that my head is in the way. I try really hard not to have that happen, but it is what it is, you guys. So please forgive me. I almost forgot to hit record, you guys. I would have been so bummed out if I would have wrapped this whole thing up and then found out that I didn't record it. So, whew, I remembered. So for this project, I'm going to be tying it off with sinew. Normally I use rubber bands, but for this project, I'm wanting to see white lines. Sinew is a wax-covered string that resists the dye. And since I'm making a diamond pattern on it, I want it to have definition. I want those white lines. So I'm pulling it really, really tight. Now this is a super thick fold. It's 4 layers thick because it's front and back, top and bottom, all together. So you need to pull it really, really, really tight. And I'm using my sinew puller and matching caddy set that I get from Jen and John over at boredomwithjen.com. I do have a link down below in the description box. Makes it really easy for you to find. Or you can go on the World Wide Web, boredomwithjen.com. I highly recommend their sinew puller and matching caddy set. It makes winding the sinew onto the puller quick and easy, and then you can get right into your project. You can do it in less than a minute. I have several of these and I love them. And they come in really amazing colors, so make sure that you check them out. As I'm working on my pleating, I'm making sure that those lines that I drew on with a washable marker are lining up the best that I can, because I want this to have a really uniform look. So just take your time, and I would say that these pleats they're not quite an inch tall, but maybe like 3/4 of an inch tall. Okay, so there's what I call a slack line. So from each sinew line to sinew line, there's that loose piece of sinew. And you'll see me periodically sticking my finger up underneath that as I'm pulling it tight. I don't want that slack line to become really tight across the top and along my pleats, because you do run the risk of putting a line from lines and slack lines. So from one sinew line to the next sinew line, if that slack line becomes tight, you could have a white line across the top of your project or on the underneath of your project. So that's what you see me fiddling with. And I feel like as I'm watching this back, I feel like I'm backwards. When I'm making my geodes, I think I'm wrapping it the other way around Plus, I'm also left-handed and I'm extremely ambidextrous. So I think sometimes I wrap my sinew with my right hand, sometimes with my left, and it's back asswards. So I'm gonna speed this up, like way up, because I'm leaving all of it in instead of editing it out. That way you can just see how I worked my way all the way down the shirt. I want to give a big shout out to the newest channel members, the Crafty Cuban and Karis Burton, and I hope that I'm saying that right, Karis. If I'm not, please correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. All of your proceeds will go back into the channel so I can continue to bring out content. And for those of you that are already members, thank you so much for your continued membership. I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you. For all of you that tune in on a regular basis, you leave the thumbs up, you leave the comments. It keeps me motivated, it keeps me going. And I do sincerely appreciate it. I feel like we have a lot of fun here on my channel. We have a lot of fun in my Facebook group. We just hit over 5,000 members in the Facebook group, and I think that's amazing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a Facebook group. It's called Belladonna Dyes Community Tie-Dye Group, and there is a link down below in the description box. It's in the social media links. If you would like to become a member, just answer the questions and then you'll be accepted in. And it's a learning group, so everybody's extremely helpful. They share their projects, what colors they use, how they folded it, stuff like that. So I highly recommend it. It's a very useful tool. And then also down there in the social media links is my business page. And if you guys could, if you're not already, could you, while you're over there on Facebook, please click on my business page and follow that as well. I'm trying to get that up to 5,000 members, and I've got a long ways to go. So I regularly post like little snippets and stuff like that over there too. So please check it out. And thanks again, everybody. Sincerely, I appreciate all of you from the bottom of my heart. Now, for the sleeve, you could just continue to pleat it in the same direction that you did the entire shirt. I decided to do something a little bit different. I folded it directly in half, and then I'm just going to accordion fold all the way down to the cuff. And then I'm just going to secure it by using rubber bands. Now it's time for the fun part and my favorite part. We get to add the dye, and I'm using the single color of Spicy Plum, and it comes from Pro Chemical and Dye, and I love this color. It is risen right up to the top of the list as one of my favorites. Now I'm using my funnel scoop that I got from Jen and John over at boredomwithjen.com. They're the wonderful people that made the sinew puller and matching caddy set. Jen is a tie dyer herself, so she makes the coolest tools, and these spoons are amazing. So I'm adding my dye, and I'm adding it on top of the sinew lines. And I find with some dyes, it's a little bit gunky and it doesn't want to come out of the spoon. So if you just tap the back of the spoon, you can use your finger, you can use your pleating tool, the back of your scissors, a stick, whatever. It helps it come out. So I'm placing the dye, let's see, what would that be? Vertical down the project, and then I'm changing it to horizontal on the sleeve. And then I'm just gonna go back over it and thicken up those lines just to make sure that I have enough dye on the project. So for this setup, I have the shirt placed down inside of a gutter. This is vinyl gutter that I got from Lowe's. It comes in 9-foot strips, and then I used a Sawzall and I cut it down into manageable size pieces. I'm adding my dye while the project is still flat, so I just have it propped up on top of my bin. I find that adding the dye while it's flat is a lot easier than trying to do it while it's already at its incline, because the dye wants to roll downhill. And so try this and see if it works for you. Now I am dropping quite a bit of dye into the gutter, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very carefully pick this shirt up and take it out and place it down into another gutter, and then I'm going to use all of that dye to make a twofer, which we'll do in tomorrow's video because this one's already becoming rather long. But when you pick it up and move it, be very careful. Don't bump it, because you could knock all of your dye all over the place, and then you're gonna have to fix your dye. So I'm creating an ice barrier out of a silicone cake mold and some clothespins. This way I don't have to fill the entire bottom of the gutter up with ice. That will catch it. I give the project a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure, and then I add my ice. And I've placed the gutter now down on its incline, so the bottom of the gutter is in the tote. I have it propped up with an empty dye jar, and then the top of the gutter is up and hanging over the edge of the tote. It's recommended that you let the project batch at 70 degrees or higher for at least 24 hours after the ice melts, and this project batched for the full 48 hours. So now it's time for the rinse out process. And I start by using cold water. That's going to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fabric. And then I increase my water up to hot, and I rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. So the cold water removes that soda ash, the hot water removes the unbonded dye, and that way both go down the drain instead of into the washing machine. I wash many things together all at once, so I don't want to have soda ash and unbonded dye swishing around from project to project. You could create a muddy mess. So once it's rinsed out at the sink, I take it to the washing machine, and I like to do hot water cycles using Kirillon. Kirillon is a professional textile detergent. And then I like to do a final hot water cycle using Millsoft, and Millsoft is a professional fabric softener. And I get both of those from Dharma Trading Company, and you will find the links down below in the description box. And then I'll put the project in the dryer, and I'll iron it, and we'll come back and we'll see the results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our long sleeve diamond after it's been washed and dried, and I think this shirt is incredible. I love this color so much. Who would think that you would take a spicy plum and open it up and have green color splits? It's fantastic. Now, I just want to talk about the saturation just for a quick second, because I am trying to help you guys learn. Some of you might already know this, some of you may not. I want that light bulb to come on. But if you look at the saturation on the shirt, like on the front of the shirt, the very top half of the shirt is very saturated and the bottom is not as much saturated. Remember in the beginning where I picked it up off the table and flipped it over and the bottom of the shirt was underneath the top of the shirt? So when it's in the gutter, that is the very bottom of the shirt, and it's getting the last amount of dye. The dye has to go all the way through the top, through 4 layers of fabric, all the way down into the bottom. And so that very bottom, unless you flip it over, is going to have the least amount of saturation. Now, when you look at the back of the shirt, it has a very uniform look. The whole shirt appears to have the same saturation, and it also has the symmetry from left to right, because that's why we centered the shirt. So I just want to try to help you guys understand how dye saturates. And then just the color is amazing. Like I said, it's a beautiful magenta purple color that splits into green. You just can't go wrong with that. So overall, I'm extremely pleased with this shirt. What do you guys think? Please leave me some comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing!